Hey family, Taylor made real estate easy. Taylor Andre. Okay, so I have created bullet points because I will go down a rabbit hole and we'll be here for 3 hours. And I don't want that. I want to be clear, concise, talking about August 17th. So I've been getting a couple text messages and it did not make sense to me to continuously keep replying to things to answer the same question over and over again. And so bullets. August 17th made it a law that you have to have a buyer's agreement. For many of this, for many of us agents, this changes absolutely nothing because we've already been engaging in buyer agreements. What is a buyer agreement? It says that, hey, I am Taylor Andre. I'm not an attorney. I am not a loan officer. I'm not an inspector. I am a real estate agent here to help you buy a house. And on top of that, I am here to assist you with the process of purchasing and making sure that you're properly educated. In the buyer's agreement, up until this point, when it says you owe me, there's a commission due, there's compensation due, X percentage that's due, that has been zero up until this point. And the reason why it's been zero is because as the market as a whole, we have understood that when I sit down with a seller, I say, hey, listen, let's work together. I'll do the best that I'm going to do. I'm going to charge you 6% of whatever it is that we sell this home for. Whatever we sell this home for, out of that 6%, I am going to share my commission that we agreed upon with the buyer's agent. And let's pause here for a second. Taylor, why do I want you to share your commission? So me and you agreed on a number. I don't care if it was $1 or $100. We agreed on the number. And whether I say I'm sharing my commission, my 50 cents or my $50, I'm sharing that with the buyer's agent. Why do I want you to share your money with the buyer's agent? Because I don't have complete and total access to every buyer out here. There's somebody out there that has the wants, needs, desires for your house. And I may not have that buyer in my back pocket. And so I am asking my fellow real estate agents, can you help me? Do you have a client? Let's work together in solidarity. And whatever I already agreed with my seller on, I will work with you to make sure you eat too, because you know what? You brought somebody to the table so we can all sit here and close together. I think where a lot of the confusion comes from is bad actors. And let me not, because now I'm going down rabbit holes that I shouldn't. Let's stay on track. Buyer representation agreements. If you have been my client, we signed a buyer's representation agreement. For Taylor Andre is going to represent you. I even named it. Taylor, help me sell my house. Taylor, help me buy a house. Taylor, can you help me buy a house after I sell a house? I clearly defined and labeled them as such so we completely understand what it is that it is. I want you to read thoroughly. And if you have any questions, let's go through it together. But it's pretty self-explanatory. And so honestly, I think I had 2 clients in my 8 years that said I had a few questions. And let me tell you what both of those questions were. There's space here that says that I'm paying you X amount. They were both buyers, X amount of dollars. Do I have to pay you? Like, I don't mind. Like, I know you're worth it, but do I have to pay you? It says 0%. Like, don't I owe you something? And that's when we had that conversation. When we go to purchase, the agent that is representing that property has already had a conversation with their client. They're going to share their funds with me so I can bring you to the table so we can close together. Second bullet point, commission structure changes. So I feel like it's important for us to rewind. The reason why So the bad apples, right? We talked about this. There's some bad apples. Not everybody's a bad apple, but there are some. And so there were some bad apples, some bad actors that weren't transparent, that were not honest about whatever it is they weren't honest about, and made some people really mad and really upset. The thing that frustrates me is the narrative. So the narrative is, oh, agents are taking advantage of people. And that's why so many people were excited about the lawsuit and had no idea what the hell the lawsuit was about. The lawsuit was about these bad actors that weren't conducting themselves ethically. Was it legal? Yeah. But was it ethical? As the lawsuit shows, some people don't believe it was. And so some sellers came to the table and was angry and upset and went ahead and sued some big names in the industry and said, you didn't. And this is a personal opinion. We did not have proper representation of what it is that we do, and an understanding that there were bad actors that were involved. And this is not an industry problem. This is an individual problem. So with that being said, has the structure changed? Legally, yes. In the realms of language, things have changed. But for the rest of us, amazing real estate agents that bust our ass every day, that work cooperatively with other agents, that want nothing but the highest and best for our clients on both sides, this changes nothing for us. For bad actors, this changes a lot. Why? Because now all of us have to change the language in which we use. But as an agent, when I have a listing, I'm not letting that house sit on the market because I failed because I was being greedy. This is all about greed. This is 100% about greed. Because if I am not afraid to tell you I'm about to pay you X dollars, listen, I got $100. The seller is paying me $100 to sell this house. I will give you $40 if you can bring me a buyer. I will give you $50 if you can bring me a buyer. Who do you know that is looking for this house? And it's like a referral fee. That's not the language. Let me be very clear. I don't want anyone to come after me. But I think it is extremely important for us to understand that for those that have been doing right by our clients, this changes nothing for us. This is not a big deal. There are big box businesses that have engaged in real estate, and that's the reason why a lot of this is taking place, honestly. Because if you go on a website and you call and you say, I want to see this house, and you already have an agent, but you just want to see this house, your agent's not getting back to you, they're not calling you, they're not texting you, but this person on this website will show you the house today at 1 p.m. You're going to go with that agent at 1 p.m. to go see that house. And then you're going to call your agent and say, hey, I want to put an offer in. And you're like, when did you see it? Well, I went on this website and they had an agent's number. I thought it was the agent that was over the house. I didn't know this was somebody who was trying to represent me as the buyer. And so now people getting mad because, oh, I'm not getting paid because they already had an agent. And again, we sensitive about our shit and we don't want to share. And so with that being said, I went down a damn rabbit hole. I said I wasn't going to do it, but I did it. The implications of this for many buyers is absolutely nothing, because as an agent, I am going to do my due diligence to ensure that that offer says we are offering $100. And out of this $100, language, right? Language is important. Please set aside $5 to make sure that my agent gets paid. I'm buying this house for $1 million. Out of this $1 million, please set aside $5,000 so I know my agent's getting paid. Like, it's language and semantics at this point. And when you're an agent that understands the importance of cooperative compensation or cooperative like just working together, it means nothing for you. Because I didn't have in my back pocket somebody who was looking for a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom sitting on 6 acres, but you do. And so, hey, let's talk about what this looks like. What has changed as far as MLS is concerned is what can be listed. You want to know why? I'll give you a prime example. I had a house in Georgia that I was selling. I was working with a friend of mine and wanted the highest and best for this particular friend. And so I became her discount agent as a friend. Instead of the full 6%, we did a 5.5%. That 5.5% is what I am getting paid, but I'm willing to share this compensation with another agent. In Georgia, they like, listen, I'm not coming outside for less than 3%. There's so many rappers out there, they're like, okay, I'm not coming outside for less than 3%. And so I had an agent call me and said, hey, I noticed that it's 2% on the listing. Like, where's the other percentage? And I, was honest. This is a friend of mine. She's like family. We've known each other since kids. There's situations that are going on, just trying to do the highest and best for my client. And they were like, well, I'm trying to do the highest and best for me. And so because you're not offering 3%, if my client doesn't have the additional 1%, we're not purchasing this home. But the buyer wanted the house. And so because you can't get your additional 1%, you're going to do right. You're going to do wrong by your client. And that's exactly what happened. They did not end up buying. And so that's a form of steering your client away from a property because it doesn't financially benefit you. Again, there's bad actors everywhere, but it's not the norm. It's not the industry acceptable practice. And we in our groups talk about this. I immediately went into my group and was like, yo, he literally told me he's not going to present this to his buyer if they don't have the 1%. And they really wanted the house. And so again, I went down a damn rabbit hole, didn't mean to, but I'm hoping to give you a better understanding of what this looks like in the totality, in the macro of it, because there's this micro nuances, but the bigger picture of it is this changes nothing for us. For the 99% of the agents that do right by our clients, this does nothing to us except for a little frustration because now we got to figure out what language is going to keep us right within our ethics. Aside from that, this does not change how we show up for you. This does not change how we represent you. This does not change how we go hard in the paint every single day for y'all. And when you want to call us at 11 o'clock at night, we pick up. I don't know about everybody, but I'm one of them. So what is the implications for buyers? So, and I went down the rabbit hole. I had bullets. Clearly, I went off track. For buyers, this means that you'll have to be proactive. If on the other side, there's an agent that's like, no, my seller has not been properly educated and does not understand and does not want to pay a buyer's agent, or, I would rather pay 2% or 3% instead of 4 or 5% or 6%. And so this means that as buyers, you may need to put aside some savings, or you may need to lower what you're looking for. So let's say, for instance, and this is just an example. Let's say, for example, you are pre-approved for $100. There's a house on the market for $100, but the agent is not sharing their commission with you, with your buyer's agent. And so you have to have an additional dollar to pay your agent, but you only have $100 for this house. You don't have 101, 100 for the house, $1 for your agent. And so instead of looking at houses for $100, you have to look at houses for $99 so you can have that dollar for your agent. Super simple explanation, but I just want you to understand the idea. The implication for agents, the law means that we just have to adapt to this new way of doing business. Again, it emphasizes building strong relationships with clients. Once I feel like prior to this, it wasn't based on like relationship. It was like, oh, I know somebody who knows somebody who's going to be my agent and they're going to represent me. And then you get a Tayla. It was the worst experience of my life. I wish I would have called you, but it was my sister's boyfriend. I can't tell you how many times I've been snubbed as an agent because of like a family friend. And so now it's really based on relationship. Like, what have you done for me lately? It's really based on like, what is an agent going to do and are they going to properly educate me? What was the other thing that it definitely increases transparency, increases our relationship. It increases awareness of cost and the importance of being mindful of how much you're willing to spend and how much you have. You may have like a little bit more negotiation power with your agents. Let's say, for instance, you have the money. It's nothing. I'll buy the house for $100 and I'll pay Tayla her dollar. And so now your offer is like sitting higher on the pile because the agent doesn't have to share money with your agent. So the listing agent, the house that's currently listed, that agent doesn't have to share with your agent because you have the money. So it puts your offer higher on the list. Don't worry about paying my agent. I'll pay my agent. Just give me the house. Gives you a little bit more negotiating power. And again, when it boils down to it, I hate to say it, but it's all about the money. It's all about the money. It's all about the money. And had we had our best interest at heart, and I mean, for that 1% that were bad actors, had they had their priorities set on the client and not on their bottom line, we may not be here today. There was another bullet that I wanted to hit on. Oh, that about, so one of the questions that came up in my inbox was like, how does this affect like Zillow? Like Zillow's one of the actors in this, and so what does that mean for Zillow? And I had so many bullet points that I went down a rabbit hole. And so this is based on research. This is not feelings. This is not emotion. This is research. Based on research, states like California and New York have already transparent compensation practices for buyers representation. I would also like to say, when you're a thumbprint realty broker, that was something that we, day one training, everyday training, was about transparency, was about honesty, was about your name, was about your reputation. And you can't be out here swindling people, because if you mess up your name, you mess up our name. And so in no way, shape, and form has Thumbprint Realty ever conducted ourselves inappropriately, intentionally, because that, coming into this family, we already know we're not messing up our name because we're not messing up our family. And so, as far as transparency is concerned, and that's why we have always had buyers agreements. That's what I feel like in the state of Massachusetts, it says that California and New York, in my research, that they were like really strong. But I think Georgia is really strong. Rhode Island is really strong. Massachusetts is really strong. So Zillow has been playing this game, right? And with Zillow playing this game, of like, you come, you want to see a house, we're going to show you the house, and that part, right? And so there wasn't much transparency there. It wasn't like, hey, I am going to, I'm not showing you this house. I am representing you as an agent. And even though, again, some bad actors, even though they knew that you had an agent, they would still show you the house, because where's your agent? They didn't answer the phone. They didn't text you. I'm here. Let me show you what I can do for you. And so, long story short, I hope I answered any of your questions. Let me just get to the video real quick. It doesn't look like anybody has any questions. If you do, let's set up a consultation. Let's sit down and talk. Let's go over your concerns and let me answer any fears. Like, let me calm your fears, okay? Tayla made real estate easy. Relax. I got you.